right, welcome to week 3 of Upon Further Review. We are brought to you by Conlon Tarker, Troy Allen Chevrolet Buick GMC, and also by Penn United Technologies and the Butler Health Systems. Now that I spit all that stuff out, we can start the program. On my right is Mike Kilroy, sports writer of the Butler Eagle. Of course, on my left there, Plato, sports writer of the Butler Eagle. My name is John Henrietto. I'm the sports editor of the Butler Eagle. And gentlemen, looking back at officially week 1 now in the books, we are 1/5 of the way through the high school football season. Mike, if football flies fast, doesn't it? Once
sure does. And also, I refuse to call it last week 1. It was week 2.
Now it's officially week 1.
When 81% of the teams in the state play on week 0, and 90% of the WPIAL teams, or 99% of the WPIAL teams play on week 0, it's week 1. So I'm calling this week 3. I don't care what you guys call it. I'm calling it week 3.
Well, this is confusing. We need to straighten this out right now. Derek, is it week 2 or is it week 3? Which is it?
2.5.
You can know the time.
Week 2.5.
2.5 doesn't help. 2.5 does not help.
It's week 2.5.
It's week 2. It's week 2. I think y'all know it's week 2. It's week 2.
I'm calling.
All right, well, Mike, we'll start with you here. We're looking back here on week 1 of the regular season. What caught your attention most from last week's action?
Well, what caught my attention most was Seneca Valley playing so well against Central Catholic without Gabe Lawson. I think that really bodes well for them this season, that they were able to go down to the Wolverine, play a very good Central Catholic team, and not only play well, but have a chance to win late. They had the ball late and were only down by 6. They had a chance to win. Another thing that struck me, too, was Montauk. I thought they passed the test, the litmus test against Clarion pretty well. They had a rough first half, some turnovers.
Yeah, first half killed.
Penalties killed them, but in the second half, they outplayed Clarion. I think Montauk is going to be a team to watch this year. And KARNS City bouncing back, obviously, was a big one in Slippery Rock. Their defense has been great for 2 years. It's been great 2 weeks this year, and now their offense is starting to click. Slippery Rock's another team I'm really looking forward to watching this year.
Derek, what's your take from last week's action?
Well, first of all, Mars hosting a really good Boone team and winning 23-13. The first person, Mars coach Scott Heinau will be the first person to tell you his team has not played that well the first 2 weeks. Turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
They made a lot of turnovers. I think 8 in 2 games. Normally, you commit that many turnovers against good teams, you're not going to win. Somehow, some way, Garrett Ranke being one of the big reasons, ran for 210 yards last week. They found a way to go 2-0 in the first 2 games. So the fact that they've come out of those 2 games, error-filled games with victories, I think that bodes well for Mars, because you got to believe at some point they're going to find a way to right the ship as far as the mistakes go. And also Freeport. I know they lost, and they also, not only did they lose the game, they lost their halfback in Connor Sellinger.
Yep.
Who knows how that's going to affect them long term. But, they gave Derry, who's one of the top teams in that conference, a really good game, lost in overtime. But if they can find a way to replace Connor Sellinger with even maybe half of what he is, you get the quarterback play from Austin Romanchuk going, running, throwing the ball. I think Freeport, they've got a tough stretch, but I think they could still surprise some people this year.
Yeah, my take is from last week was the game that I covered. I covered that Mars Boone game, and if somebody would have told me before that game started that Mars was going to have 5 turnovers and have 2 punts blocked inside their own 10-yard line and still win the game, I would have laughed at them. I mean, knowing how good Moon is, but Mars' defense is just playing outstanding football. I mean, Scott Hunter told me this after the game, Derek, and I don't know if he mentioned this to you, because I know you cover Mars on a regular basis, but he told me this is the first time in his 20 years of coaching that he has not returned 1 starting linebacker.
Yeah, he told me that.
Yeah. Every other season, Mars football has returned at least 1 linebacker, but that defensive line, and they've got a ball hockey secondary, and they really bailed him out. That, and of course, Garrett Ranke returning 10 yards rushing last week, outstanding game. Lost another fumble at the 1-yard line, cost him a scoring chance, but really came back strong after that. That game and a game that I got to hang my head in shame because it cost me a perfect week. The Union AC Valley 47-0 win over Sheffield. That was my 1 loss last week. I picked Sheffield to win that game.
You should get 10 losses.
My humble apologies to Union AC Valley. Horrible pick on my part.
I think that's
Big
worth 10
win for
losses.
them last
That's
week.
worth 10 losses. So you get an extra 10 losses.
Of course, then again, you picked. Let's look at that last week's picks. First off, kudos to Scoop. Scoop, I believe, went undefeated last week.
He did.
Did he not?
He's undefeated last week. He was, and overall now he's 18-3.
He might
Mike
have a chance
is
at-
Mike
I-
is
I-
19-2.
You're one game ahead of Scoop. You're ahead of the Scoop radar.
I can't remember. Did I pick Sheffield or did I pick
You picked Union AC. Your one loss was you picked
no,
Knox.
you picked Knox.
I feel better then.
That's what I
But
was
I-
a bad pick too.
Well, that's because Derek picked against Knox.
That's a good point.
opposite of Knox.
That strategy failed you. That
Maybe I'll
strategy
have
failed
to
you.
change that from now on.
Yeah, that strategy failed you last week. Well, let's move forward, and this is our over/under segment coming up. And last week I picked 3 over/under categories. Did not tell these other 2 guys what they were. This week, Mr. Kilroy here has picked 3 over/under categories. Derek and I have no idea what they are, so Mike, fire away with number 1 here.
All right. The first one is over/under number of wins this season for KARNS City. Now remember, they're in a new league. They're playing a new schedule pretty much. 6.5. 6.5 wins for KARNS City over.
6.5 wins. I'll go first on this one. I will go over. I think they win 7 games.
Under 6. 6-4, but they make the playoffs.
Okay, Michael, what's your over/under pick for this one?
Mine's over. I think they showed against Punxsutawney that they're going to be all right this year. The first week, they blew that lead, but I think that's an aberration. This first week aberration, week 1 aberration, not week 0, week 1 aberration.
Yep.
So I think they're gonna. No one really knows a lot of the players' names on this team, but KARNS City's KARNS City. They always have a good coaching staff. They always bring players up that you never heard of, and they have great seasons. That's what's going to happen again.
Yeah, and also that 42-22 score last week is a bit misleading. The
Yeah,
game really was
wow.
not that close. That was a mercy roll game early in the third quarter, and Punxsutawney scored twice on KARNS City's JV's late. So that's really kind of a misleading finding, but they really handled Punxsutawney last week.
All right.
All right, your second over.
Over/under number 2. Over or under Zach Rocco, North Catholic quarterback. His touchdown passes this year, 21.5.
Where's he at now? Because I know he
He
had
threw 5 last
He had
week.
5
He
last
has
week.
5.
Didn't he have a couple?
I think he had 1 the first week, so I think he has 6.
Okay,
5 or
what's
6.
okay, what's total?
21.5.
Derek, I'll let you start this one.
I'm going to go over. They've got some talented kids at the running back position this year, but they don't have a Joe Minor like last year. They don't have a kid that's like the bell cow, so to speak. I think they're going to split their carries up a little bit more, and I think in the end it's going to be it's going to mean a few more passes thrown by Rocco. And as you said, he's got now 6 after 2 weeks, so he's off to a good start. I'm going to go over.
It's a lot of touchdown passes. I think they're going to start to face some better defenses. I think he's going to get his passing yardage. Now, touchdown passes is a different story. I think the passing game could get them down there. I think they're going to run the ball in a lot more than they're going to throw it in. I'm going to go slightly under. I think he'll finish with 18-19.
See, that's why I think he's going to have more. Because I think they're going to be running the ball so well. When they get in the red zone, that's when they're going to unleash the play action. Because he can run, he can move out, he can throw and run, he can find guys. So I think he's going to end up with like 22-23. So I think he's going to go a little bit over.
Okay. We agree to disagree. You guys both go over. I go under.
All right.
What's the third one?
My last one is over/under number of times big guy here, John Andrea, gets fed at football games this year. 3.5. Over/under 3.5 times he gets fed at half.
It darn well better be over, but I don't know. I think it's going to be.
We already got one.
Well, you know what? Here's the key. See,
Yeah,
I do mostly Butler home games, and they don't feed
Well,
their
you're not
feed
doing
their
that
Butler.
many Butler games
No,
anymore. So
Well, although
that's
but I do Butler home games, though. But I do the Butler home games now. Unless Butler and Bill Milan, I'm appealing to you, get some food in the press box, so it puts me over. But I'm going to go under. I think I'm going to be fed less than 3 times all year.
Under. You're going to have a game schedule this year
You guys are
where
hurting me, man. You guys are hurting me.
they always have food, and you're going to get there, some stadium, wherever it is, and for some reason, you're going to get bad luck. They're not going to.
That's happened before to me.
But
that has happened.
You had a good spread last week at Morris, did you not?
Oh, fantastic spread at Morris. We're talking chicken and lemon sauce. We're talking rigatoni. We're talking salad.
Appetizers.
It was good stuff. It was good stuff. But you know what? Where's the Seneca Valley Butler game this year? I haven't even looked.
Zach Butler.
Oh, Zach Butler.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I'm going to go under too because
You going under?
yeah, I don't think there's any way you're going to get fed more than 3.5 times.
No,
I don't think you're going to hit 4. I don't think you're going to hit 3. I think you're going to hit 2.
Well, I've got one on the book so far.
Last week and one more, you're going to get lucky and get one more. So I think you're going to be starving in that games. You're going to have to pay for your own food.
That's a pretty sad over under. I mean, it's kind of hard to. I may need a moment to get over this right now, but. Next subject, North Catholic football. How good is North Catholic? Derek, I know you've been singing their praises and just general conversations that we've had in the sports office. You cover them on a regular basis. How far do you think North Catholic goes this year?
Well, they've got a ton of talent. I mean, I mentioned the fact that they don't have Joe Minor in the backfield anymore, but they still got Zach Rocco. They still got a plethora of receivers to throw to. Cam Branch is one of the running backs who's getting carries. Cam Branch is a key. He's getting carries. He ran for 100 yards in week 0, week 1, whatever. Sorry, Mike. And that defense, as long as they've got Nakai Hill-Green around, he's a leader out there. He's only a junior, but he's getting looks from D1 schools already. He's a monster in both the rush defense and pass defense. I think the key is no matter how much talent, I mean, they got a lot of talent, but you got to look at the other conference. The other conference in AAA has Keystone Oaks, who's brought a lot back, and they're off to a really good start, 2-0. Aliquippa and Quaker Valley, defending state champion Quaker Valley. Now, the Quakers lost a lot to graduation, but they did bring some skill kids back, so I do think they're going to be a factor. If you're asking me right now, I say –
Let's call it right now. What do we got?
I say they get to the Whitfield Championship game.
I agree. I think their path to the Whitfield Championship game is just laid out before them because of all the talent they have. Zach Rocco, Cam Branch, I think, like I just said, and Derek just said, is the key this year. He was a great receiver last year. They moved him to running back. He's proven to be a great running back. He's a good receiving threat out of the backfield now. They have that monster tight end, and their defense is obviously pretty good too. 41-0 at halftime last week,
and 49-12 in their first game.
Yeah, so they're just a juggernaut. They're just going to roll, I think, into the Whitfield Championship. Now, Whitfield Championship, they're going to probably face someone really good there. Will they get to the state playoffs? Who knows? But I think if they can get to the state playoffs, we might be talking about a state championship appearance run if they can get past the Whitfield.
The Whitfield title game. If they do get that far, they're in for challenge there for sure because
might be their first challenge.
Derek mentioned the other section has some pretty strong teams. I don't think North Catholic loses the game in the regular season. No. I think they run the table, and I think they go into the playoffs with a lot of momentum. They're going to be highly seeded for the playoffs. That's going to help them too. I agree with you, Derek. I think North Catholic goes to the 3A title game. Now, beyond at that point, it's when you get that far, it's who's playing the best football at that time. So.
North Catholic, Aliquippa, how about that for Whitfield?
That'd be a ball game there. Yeah. Well, let's move on to the next topic. We talked about Freeport earlier. The Freeport's early season schedule, tough loss last week against Derry. They had a 13-0 lead, lost that lead. They play the other top 3 contenders in the section back to back. That includes North Catholic this week, and we'll get to the picks a little bit later on. But, Mike, is it good or bad to play the other top 3 contenders in your section this early?
I think it would have been good if they had not lost Connor Sellinger. Without him, I think it's a whole lot tougher. Like you said, 13-0 on Derry. They ended up losing in overtime. North Catholic's North Catholic. We just got done talking about how good they are. It's going to be a tough week for Freeport this week. They could very easily be in a big hole early. But Freeport always has a way of sticking around and being there at the end. I think this will, like I said, if they had Sellinger, I would feel a lot better about this early gauntlet they had to run. But I still think Freeport's going to find a way to be in a mix.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I have not heard anything on Sellinger's status. You guys heard anything about what it didn't sound good. I know he was on crutches after the game. That's what our reporter told me.
I'll feel better if he's back.
Anytime you take a Larry Zonka off of the football team, that's
they need to find Mercury Morris.
But how about Austin Romanchak, their versatile quarterback last week? Throws for 90 yards, rushed for 43 yards, caught a 26-yard touchdown pass, I think, in that game. He's really shown his versatility. But Selinger, I guess, was kind of, if Romanchek's Batman, Selinger wasn't Robin. He just lost his Robin for who knows.
Well,
how long.
Romanchek is a pretty good Batman, though. I remember covering him early in his career 2 years ago when he was only a sophomore. Watching him running around, he wears number 7, running around.
Very talented kid. Yep.
Very talented. I interviewed him after the game, and he reminded me of Doug Flutie. And I said, hey, you remind me of Doug Flutie. And he's like, who's Doug Flutie? So I told him to watch Doug Flutie on YouTube, and hopefully he did. But I think he's if Connor Selinger is a high school version of Larry Zonka, I think Austin Romanchek is the high school version of Doug Flutie or of any other mobile running quarterback who can also throw and do all kinds of things. I think he's one of the more dynamic players in the county and in the state.
But if Austin Romanchek did not know who Doug Flutie was, I'll bet you Connor Selinger doesn't know who Larry Zonka was.
Oh, probably not.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
John Gale told me that he doesn't.
Did he? He doesn't know who he is?
These kids need to learn their football history.
Well, you go back to North Catholic, to Cam Branch. As soon as I heard that name,
Cliff Branch.
Cliff Branch, the Oakland Raiders. So if Cam Branch is anything like Cliff Branch, he would be dangerous. Well, let's move on. We're getting ready for our picks here. So week two local schedule.
Week 2.5, week 3,
We start off Mount Lebanon at Butler. Obviously, the Golden Tornado could not have gotten off to a worse start this year. All kinds of first-year players on the field, a lot of first-year seniors. Disaster in first minutes of the first quarter, both of the first 2 games at North Hills. Last week at Baldwin, they were down 27-0 at Baldwin 5 minutes into the game. Baldwin returns the opening kickoff for a touchdown. They had 3 pick sixes in the first half for touchdowns. Darren, I'll start with you.
What are you saying?
What I'm asking is, if you're Eric Christie, their first-year head coach, where do you start in trying to, number one, instill confidence in your football team? Because it's not going to get any easier for Butler. Like I said, you got Mount Lebanon this week. Now they're in their 6A league schedule.
Right. Yeah, it's tough. Obviously, the thing that would instill the most confidence would be to go out and win a football game. Right now, I think Butler's got to be looking at little things, the baby steps, and
Yep.
For me, it would be in a game. If you can go into halftime down by maybe a score, 10 points, and lose by, not get mercy ruled. Obviously, that would be a step forward because they've been mercy ruled the first 2 weeks.
They have it easily merciful in the first half.
It's really, really hard to assess a team when they're down by 4 touchdowns, 5 minutes in the game. I don't even think Eric Christie knows really what he has against the players. Until they're in a game for a half, 3 quarters, he's not going to know what he has. Because when you're down 27-0 and 5 minutes into the game, how do you assess who's doing what, who's good where, when you're in that deep of a hole that early, like they were the first 2 weeks? It's impossible to evaluate anything.
Butler has probably played 3 or 4 minutes of competitive football. Okay, so you're right. You can assess nothing under.
I still believe if they can play a team tough, that'll give them confidence. That's all they need. I think they have talent. I think these kids are going to learn how to play football. They're going to learn what being on a field on a Friday night means. I think by the end of the season, they're going to be competitive. But right now, they need a break. They need something to go their way. They need to be in a game. Maybe Mount Lebanon is the week they do that. Maybe they just need some confidence going forward. They just need to take a breath, get some confidence, be able to say, okay, I think we can do this. But right now, they're not there.
Well, and once again, they're playing an athletic team. Mount Lebanon's 1-1, but their quarterback, Seth Morgan, he's a 6'3" kid, 170 pounds. He's already thrown for 536 yards in 2 games. They can run the football well. It's another team that's got size, they've got speed, they've got experience. Just a mismatch for Butler, unfortunately, for their home opener. I'm going with Mount Lebanon 42-10.
I'm going Mount Lebo to 42-7.
I'm going to go with Lebo. Yeah, you mentioned Seth Morgan, 333 passing yards last week.
Yeah.
Lebo's defense, I think that they may have some holes there. They did give up 4 touchdowns last week to CANON-MAC, but I got 37-13. There may be a few plays Butler's able to make down the field, but certainly not enough.
And speaking of CANON-MAC, the Big Macs is heading to Seneca Valley this week. Derek, you cover Seneca. What are your thoughts on CANON-MAC and SV?
Is it John Quinkay?
I believe it's Quinque. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
That's the quarterback for CANON-MACMILLAN. Threw for, again, they played Lebo last week. Lebo won the game 43-29, but Quinkay threw for 210 yards and 2 touchdowns. The game was 7-7 at halftime, but I think it was Mount Lebanon scored 20 points in the third quarter to pull away.
They did.
I think a lot of it, my guess is, and I have not talked to Ron Butchley at Seneca Valley yet for the week, but my guess is if he didn't name Smithco the quarterback until late last week, my guess is there's a good chance Lawson's going to be back. That's just me thinking. Shoulder injury for Lawson,
okay.
So that could come up big. But CANON-MAC's down. They haven't made the playoffs since 2008. It's a home game for Seneca. Seneca's defense has played pretty well so far. So I got Seneca winning this game 28-10.
Yeah, I think Smithco, Lawson, I don't think it matters.
I was going to say,
Smithco did pretty well.
Showed he can play. He showed he can play.
Smithco did really, really well in his first start.
He did.
Especially when he didn't find out until, I think, the night before. Butcher called him and said, "Hey, you're starting." He was like, I guess, groggy. He was like,
"We're going from a nap, I guess."
We're going from a nap. He said,
Yeah.
"Okay, I'll be all right." So I don't think it matters who's in the quarterback. I think Seneca is for real this year, legit, and I think they legit beat CANON-MAC 28-13.
Yeah, I agree. I think CANON-MAC's kind of overmatched in this game. Seneca Valley looks to be a lot better than I thought they were going to be in the preseason. Up at CANON-MAC to win this game 28 to.
CANON-MAC?
I'm sorry, my mistakes. Seneca Valley to win this game. Thanks for correcting me. Thanks for correcting me.
No takesies, backsies. You picked CANON-MAC.
I didn't finish the pick yet. I never finished the pick. Seneca Valley wins 28-12.
All right. Moving on,
we have KNOCH, the winless Knights, and they are struggling. They're heading to Beaver. Beaver's 1-1 on the year. Mike, we'll start with you. What do you?
Oh yeah, so with me, so I can't go out.
That's right. Well, it didn't work
this week.
It didn't work out for you last week.
It
didn't work out for you last week.
Until KNOCH can show me that they're, getting used to this new quarterback, get this option offense going again. I don't have to pick against them. I'm going to go with Beaver. But I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be like 16-12.
Yeah, Beaver had, after a nice opening win over Brashear, Beaver beat them 26-8 in the first week. They took on South Fayette last week and had it handed to them 35-7.
South Fayette's going to handle a lot of big losses.
Yes, sir. They also have a veteran crew. I didn't realize Jeff Belts has been at Beaver 19 years now. That's a long time. They were 9-3 last season. They returned their quarterback. They returned their running back. Too much for KNOCH. KNOCH's been struggling on defense. I got to go with Beaver. I'm going to say, let's go 34-20. I think KNOCH will score some points, but they're going to give up too many.
This is Beaver's first year at 4A, so they're moving up, but they've got enough talent back. I definitely think they can contend for a playoff spot, and I don't think they'll trip up this week against KNOCH. They're playing at home. Beaver is. I got Beaver winning this game 32-14.
All right, let's move on to the Mars Planet's off to a 2-0 start. They played their third and final non-section game this week. They're heading to GREENSBURG, Salem. Derek, you cover the Planets. Of course, I saw them last week, but you talked to Scott Heiner on a regular basis. How do you feel about Mars and the Golden Lions?
I talked to Heinauer this morning, as a matter of fact. He's got a kid named Trent Patrick on his brain right now. That's the quarterback for GREENSBURG Salem. Dual threat, 4 total touchdowns last week in a victory over Trinity. But as we all know, he's going up against the Mars defense, which we've talked about has been very staunch. I think GREENSBURG's going to be able to put up some yards in this game and a few points, but I think Mars goes on the road and pulls out a 23-17 win in this one.
Mike, what are your thoughts on this?
The Mars defense is the difference in this game. Like, it's going to be a difference in a lot of games this year. This Mars defense might be arguably the best defense Scott Heinauer's ever had.
That'd be saying something.
And Garrett Ranke is Garrett Ranke. If he can improve on his ball security, doesn't cuts down those fumbles, Mars is going to be a really tough team to stop this year. So I think Mars is going to roll in this one. I think they're going to get a shutout. They're going to throw up a goose egg
Whoa,
this week.
whoa.
Goose egg for Mars.
Calling it.
28-0.
28-0. I'll tell you what. Talking to Heiner after the game, I asked him about Ranky's fumble issues, and he said it's pretty basic stuff. He said Ranky loses the football when he doesn't just hit the hole, go, and then cut after he hits the hole. He said Garrett Ranky has a habit sometimes of feeling out the hole, trying to find the hole, kind of dancing around, shifting around. That's maybe he's watching. Maybe I Bell too much. I don't know. Though he hasn't been watching him lately, but that's another subject.
Won't be watching him much this year either.
No, but he said when Garrett Ranky just gets the ball and goes, he said he's dynamic, and that's what he was after he lost that fumble last week. He hit the hole, 210 yards rushing, as I said last week. He's going to be too much for Greensburg-Salem, as is Mars' defense. I'm not going to go as far as pitching a shutout, but I will say Mars wins this game handily on the road, 28-7.
I never predict shutouts. This is the first
I
time.
know that. I think it might be.
Yeah.
28-7.
28-7. Okay, we have the Freeport Yellow Jackets. Tough loss last week. It does not get any easier. Now they face the Trojans of North Catholic. I'm assuming this game's at Mars High School. I think it is. What are you guys' thoughts on this one? There's a couple local teams playing each other, but I'll pick this one first. I think North Catholic. We've talked about just how powerful they are, but both sides of the football. Sellinger's hurt for Freeport. If he does play, he's not going to be 100% this week. I go with North Catholic, though I think Freeport will be stubborn enough to keep it relatively close. But I'm going to go with North Catholic in this game, 27-7.
For Freeport, it's going to put up a gutty performance. They always put up a gutty performance under Coach Gaylott. I think that'll keep it close, but North Catholic just has too many weapons, too many guns. Freeport, if they don't have Sellinger, it's a drawback. Even if they do have Sellinger, like you said, he's probably not going to be 100%. So I see North Catholic winning 35-14. 5 touchdown passes for Rocket.
I talked
okay.
Patrick O'Shea.
Four for Rocket.
Patrick O'Shea has he's very fond of the Freeport football program. I never knew that until I talked to him, but he thinks his team's tough, blue collar, all the good things you could say about a football team. And I do think, as you guys,
They do play hard. They do.
I think they're Freeport's going to keep this game close for the most part. I see North Catholic pulling away late. They just have too many weapons. The Trojans do. I see North Catholic winning this game 33-17, but I think it's going to be a close game entering the fourth quarter.
All right. Oh, what could be the game of the weekend. Clarion comes to Karns City. The Bobcats of Clarion, they're 2-0. They're 2 big wins, as you mentioned. We talked about the game. You have, and we're going to start with you on this matchup. Clarion, they big lead early on Montauk last week. Montauk came back against them a little bit in the second half. Like you said, Mike, you've seen both teams play. You saw Karns City play their opener. Saw Clarion Montauk last week. How do you view this matchup?
That final score between Montauk and Clarion was very deceiving. 34-14. It was much closer than that. Montauk doesn't make a few mistakes in the first half, and they don't have the penalties that they had. And Clarion had 4 plays that went for 186 yards in the first half, and they didn't get much else. I think Karns City at this point is probably a little bit better than Montauk, so I think Karns City is going to beat Clarion at home. I think it's going to be a tight game, 28-24, but I think Karns City beats Clarion because Montauk exposed Clarion a little bit on film, I think. If you're physical with Clarion, I don't think they hold up well. Montauk was very physical. They pushed them around up front. I think Karns City has potential to do that to them. And I think Karns City has more weapons than Montauk has, especially a little bit more speed. So I think that's going to be the deciding factor in this game. Karns City is going to beat Clarion.
Derek, do you agree or disagree with Mr. Kilroy's thoughts of KC knocking off the early undefeated?
We're 19-2, so I kind of proven I know what I'm talking about.
Or you could say he's due for a bad.
I'm due for a bad.
Yeah,
or you can say I'm due for a bad loss.
I'm going with Clarion in this game. I think they proved last week they do have a balanced attack with quarterback Archer Mills and Cutter Bogus, the running back over 100 yards against Montauk. I think it's another game, just like the last game I picked North Catholic beating Freeport. I think it's going to be a close game. The winning team, in this case, Clarion, pulls away late, 31-17. Bobcats go to Karns City and pick up the win.
All right, yeah, I got to agree with Derek on this one, but I do think it's going to be a fantastic game. I really do. This is a battle of two pretty strong quarterbacks. You mentioned Archer Mills, 191 yards, 4 touchdown passes last week. Kansas City's quarterback, Anthony Kaminsky, threw for 150 yards and a touchdown last week, ran for 50, and another score, had an outstanding game against Punxsutawney. He's coming into his own as a quarterback. He's in his junior year. I think it's going to be a battle of the signal callers, but I think CLARION, has a little bit more around their quarterback on offense than Kansas City does. I think that makes a difference. I see pretty much a shootout here, and I'm going CLARION 34-28 over Kansas City. And we go ahead then. Now we got the Montauk Warriors, mentioned them. Tough game. They go to Ridgeway Johnsonburg, one of those District 9 co-ops. Derek, we'll start with you on this one. Interesting game. Both these teams have defeated Kane, but Ridgeway Johnsonburg blew out Kane last week, 30-46. What are your thoughts on this game?
There's a lot of reasons where I should probably be picking Ridgeway in this game. It's a home game for them. Paul Gresco, their quarterbacks, put up some good stats through 2 games. Dante Allegretto, remember that name? He's a deep threat for Ridgeway.
Yep.
2 catches for 104 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Both touchdowns, yeah.
But I just have a feeling that Montauk's, they've already surprised me once this year going on the road to beat Kane. I think they're going to win this one. I think it's going to be a close one, though, 28-21. But, they definitely have their hands full this week because Ridgeway's a good program. They're a tough program.
I got to play devil's advocate on this game. I think I do respect Montauk. They only have the 28 players, and Cody Wise has been outstanding these first 2 weeks for Montauk, by the way. Just fantastic running back. But I think Ridgeway Johnsonburg, I think they're going to prove to be this week one of the top teams at D9. I really believe that. This is a good football team. A lot of talent. You mentioned your quarterback, Paul Gresco, 7 of 8 for 113 last week, 2 touchdowns. Allegretto kid. You also have a running back, Jake Wickett, who ran for 80 yards last week. This is a balanced team. I think it's a little bit too much for Montauk, but the Warriors will stay in this game for 4 quarters. I'm going Ridgeway Johnsonburg 21-15. I think it'll be a 2-pointer in there somewhere.
All those Ridgeway Johnsonburg weapons are going to be useless.
Oh.
They're not going to have the ball that much. Because Montauk's going to grind it out, wear them down. Montauk's offensive line is impressive. They were pushing CLARION around last week. Cody Wise is impressive. He runs like Mike Allstott. He runs with a purpose. He runs angry. He's gonna run wild, I think, through Ridgeway Johnstown.
Will Cody Wise know who Mike Allstott is?
He probably he might know.
Maybe that's a little more modern.
We got Mike Allstott. We got Larry Zonkel. Where's the Roosevelt Leaks in our coverage here?
So
I know.
And Chance Nagy has improved throwing the ball, and he's a really hard player to corral in the pocket. I think Montauk's going to go up there and do like what they did to Kane. They're going to go up there and surprise you guys. Surprise a lot of people in this round.
I pull for the locals all the time, but I just think Ridgeway Johnsonburg. You mentioned, and Montauk probably will push them around, but they're a big play offense too, so they don't need a lot of time to score.
Well, Montauk's defense is underrated. They did give up those big plays to CLARION, but they adjusted. They didn't give up any big plays in the second half, except for the lead touchdown, which was thrown with a minute left against a team that thought they were going to take a knee. So I think Montauk's going to win. I'm going to say 18-14.
What are our records, by the way, Derek? You've been keeping track. What are our records?
Mike is 19-2. I am 16-5. And you're 15-6.
See, that just shows one thing.
Scoop is 18.
Scoop is 18. See, I'm due to win, and you're due to lose. So that's how I see it. But hey, we'll see what happens.
I believe in Montauk. I'm on the Warrior bank.
You are. You definitely are.
They have 20. You mentioned they have 28 kids, but they have 28 top kids,
right.
and they're all good players.
And Rob Densmore, by the way, funny you mentioned that because Rob Densmore, the former Butler coach, now the defensive coordinator over at KNOCH, told me this preseason, it's not the number of kids on the roster.
It's how good they are.
It's how badly do the kids that you have want to be there. Yeah. And I'll say this for Montauk, those kids want to play football. Those kids want to play football, right? Okay, Union AC Valley, the team I shamefully missed on last week. They go to
by 47 points.
Yes, but I know this. Shut out my Sheffield team. So Maxwell Sheffield let me down last week, but
Mr. Sheffield.
Yeah, Union AC Valley at Kerwinsville. Unfortunately, I don't think Union AC Valley is going to get their second straight win. Kerwinsville, a 58-6 blowout over Cameron County last week. Too much Union ACV. I'm going with Kerwinsville. But I do have new respecto for the Falcon Knights, so I'm going to pick relatively close score, 21-7, Kerwinsville. Derek, let's go with you.
Before this merger, there was the two AML leagues, AML North, AML South. Kerwinsville had been a strong program in that AML South for a long time. Now they're in the what's it called, District 9 Small School South.
Mhm.
That's what it is.
Yep.
I don't see AC Valley, Union AC winning 2 straight games here. I think it's on the road. It's a decently long road trip. I got Kerwinsville winning this game 29-13.
Mike, what do you think? You
Union
go Falcon
Valley-
Knights? You go Falcon Knights?
No. Union AC Valley, got their big rousing win last week. This week is a whole different story. Kerwinsville's going to win 35-8.
Okay, moving ahead. 2 games left on this weekend's docket. Slippery Rock at Franklin. Mike Slippery, you talked to the Rockets on a regular basis. They're off to a 2-0 start, as you mentioned earlier. An impressive win over Reynolds last week. They're facing a Franklin team that just got trashed by Oral City last week, 74-7. What are your thoughts on this one?
Slippery Rock's defense is legit. Slippery Rock, like I mentioned earlier, but the first segment about teams that impressed us, Slippery Rock's been impressing me. Their offense is starting to roll into form. Vito Pelosi's played really well at quarterback the first 2 weeks. Caleb Kammerer, we talked about him a couple weeks ago about being a breakout star. He's not showing any sign of that not being true. Slippery Rock's going to roll on this one. Franklin does have, last week notwithstanding, they do have some dynamic players on offense, but Slippery Rock's defense is pretty tough. I think Franklin might get a couple touchdowns, but I think Slippery Rock's going to win 37-14.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say 74-7 or 74-7.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Oral City's strong out there.
Oral City's
And I
very
get that.
strong.
Yeah, they are. But Slippery
Oh,
Rock.
City's a pretty slick team, I heard.
Nice. I like it. Anyway, after that comment, I'm going to go with Slippery Rock to win big. I think Slippery Rock rolls in this game. I'm going to go 38-7, Slippery Rock.
Yeah,
Derek?
176 yards combined rushing from Vito Pelosi last week and Caleb Kammerer. I think this is going to be. I think they're going to have to call the dogs off on this one. I got 42-7, but I don't think it's ever going to be close. I see Franklin getting a touchdown late, 42-7.
Let's say on this game for a second. Mercy roll, does it come into effect, Mike? And if so,
I don't think it does.
How early does it?
I don't think it does.
You don't think it does?
I don't think it does. I don't think this is a mercy rule game for Slippery Rock. I think it's going to be close a couple of times. I think it's going to be like a 20-0, maybe 28-7, 35-7.
No mercy rule, though.
No, I don't think it goes to mercy rule.
Okay. Derek, you think mercy rule?
Mercy rule.
Yeah. I think mercy rule too. I just think Frank, it's tough to come back when you lose that badly to anybody. And like you said, Mike, I think Slippery Rock's only going to build momentum as this goes on. I think they're going to play better and better as the season goes on.
There's the problem with the mercy rule. Problem is Slippery Rock. Their offense is improving, but they still don't put a whole lot of points on the board. They're very methodical.
True.
They
Very
grind
true.
out. They grind
Very
out
true.
drives. They don't really have a big play offense per se. So I think that's why
That's a good point.
it's going to be hard for them to, unless Franklin completely breaks down.
Turnovers.
Or turnovers. Other than that, I don't think this goes to mercy rule because Slippery Rock can just grind out drives. I don't think Slippery Rock may not punt in this game, but they're going to have 10, 11, 12 play drives that result in points.
Okay. Well, last game, the Port Summit Academy, they've been shut out 2 straight weeks, and they're rewarded. Now they get to get on to Washington and play the little Prexies, who have just been a powerhouse small school program for so many years. I got to go with Washington in this game. I think Summit's going to end their shutout streak, though. I think they get on the board, but Washington's going to win big, 45-6.
I think Summit's going to score. I think it's going to be a mercy rule score, but they're going to score. I think Wash High wins 48-8.
Sure.
Washington, the defending Whitfield champion.
Yeah.
Now, they lost a lot of talent from last year, so they're not as good. And actually, last week, they dropped their 39-game regular season win streak. Charleroi beat them first time in 40 games that they lost in the regular season. But
That's just going to make them that much matter this week. That's all that's going to do.
The remedy for Washington is playing Summit Academy. I got Wash High winning this game 35-16. Not much of a problem at all.
In our final segment of the program every week is the How About segment when we look at another sport beyond football. This week, guys, how about the Butler girls volleyball team? They started the season last Saturday hosting their own tournament, and they won their own tournament. They defeated Kiski 2-0 in the title game. And Mike, you did a volleyball preview for the Eagle last week. Good job on that, by the way. And Butler's team that they're always stuck going up against the Seneca Valleys and the North Alleghenies of the world, but something about their team this year. You look at Coach Megan Lucas, who came back to the program a couple years back, and now her daughters are there. They're playing. Her daughters are seasoned players. They're longtime club volleyball players. Maria Lucas looks to me like a standout. She had 22 kills, 21 digs in that tournament.
She's one of the best players, in that, not only in Woodville, but I think she's going to go down this year as one of the best players in the state. Butler, this is the most experienced team.
Mm-hmm.
Megan Lucas is still the most experienced team that she's had outside of the high school season. What she meant by that is all these girls on this team play club volleyball.
They do.
So they, like she said, the more you touch the ball, the more you can control it, the better you are as a team. Butler, I think if there's ever a year for Butler to crack, then they made the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
To crack that upper echelon of teams in that section, NA, Seneca Valley, Pine Richland, and such, it's going to be this year. I think Butler, this is the year where they can go toe to toe with those teams and give them everything they have. And NA is defending state champs in their section.
Yep.
Seneca is perennial power in that section. And Seneca has some good players back too. But I think Butler might be a little bit better than Seneca this year.
Wow.
I think they might be. It's on paper. Now the games aren't
Still got to play.
Still got to play. Volleyball court where Seneca has a track record. Butler maybe doesn't have the same kind of track record. But Butler definitely bears watching this year. I think they're going to be one of the, I don't know if you call them surprised with the experience they have, but they're going to be one of those teams that at the end of the year you're going to be like, that's a really good team. That's a scary team. No one's going to want to play that team.
Derek, your thoughts on Butler? That they're definitely more experienced. Like we mentioned like club volleyball years that their players have. But how much you've seen this happen? I'm sure following different sports where you've got to get over sometimes a mental hurdle when you're a Butler volleyball team and you're playing against North Allegheny, you're playing against Seneca Valley teams you haven't beaten in so many years. How tough is that mental hurdle to overcome?
It can be tough, and we can look at pretty much any sport. Same thing with Butler football.
Absolutely.
Overall, and also against individual teams like Seneca Valley. Last time they beat Seneca Valley was 2006. Mm-hmm. But number one, if you have the talent in place and you can actually go out and beat that team that's had your number for a while, hey, Butler, as Mike mentioned, they've been in such a tough section. You look at past years, Butler's had some pretty decent teams, but then you see their record. It's so. Well, when you're going up against teams in your section that are ranked in the state 4 times a year, that can take a lot out of you. But obviously, this tournament win, their own tournament win, it's got to be a feather in their cap, and it's got to add to their confidence moving forward.
Keep an eye on local volleyball this year, though, for sure. We mentioned Butler. We mentioned Seneca Valley. They're going to be strong again. We have 2 defending state championship teams.
Freeport's loaded.
Yeah, Freeport is definitely loaded.
Freeport is loaded.
And they just lost.
Girls, but the Freeport's big question is Libera. They lost Claire Kreitzer, who Tom Phillips told me you can't replace with just one person. They're going to have 2 people fill in, a freshman and Claire Kreitzer's sister, Cora Kreitzer. But I think they're going to be fine because their play at the net is just so much better than everybody else in 2A. I would be surprised if they didn't go very deep in the state playoffs.
You also lost Hannah Mason, who's now a freshman defensive specialist at St. Vincent, who, by the way, was just named the President's Athletic Conference Rookie of the Week. Yeah. She's had a great weekend. So
Freeport's
great player, another great player.
Volleyball players, they just turn them out every year.
Check out volleyball, and of course, check out football this coming weekend, and we'll be back to talk about it next week.